Welcome on in, everybody, to Big Play Big Bets. I don't have my big hat on because Dave's not here. I'm Nick Padone, producer Ryan.
What's going on, Nick?
In the host chair with me. What's up?
What's going on, man? I'm excited. You know, I can't believe everything that's going on in Cleveland this week between the women's Final Four, obviously. The eclipse is coming on. Bronny James entering the draft, I should say. King James may be coming back. I mean, I'm excited, Nick.
Yeah, it is a crazy time in Cleveland. Usually, you know, this is our down period, especially once March Madness kind of put a bow on that. You know, we enter our down beat where, you know, you got a couple chill weeks before the NFL draft, but we got a bunch of picks to give you guys on the show today. We are going to do the women's Final Four. If you notice, the show's out a little bit earlier than normal because we're going to get you our women's Final Four picks for Friday. We're then going to get you guys into the men's bracket. We'll hit some Cavs, some Guardians. This is a packed Big Play Big Bets. Dave is missing out, man.
Yeah, no, he is. I hope he's having a good time in Hilton Head, but he's definitely missing out. I'm happy to fill in for old Big Play Dave here.
Make sure you guys download that Tipico Sportsbook app. When you do, use promo code BPBets100. You're going to get $100 of bets on Tipico. Plus, check out Tipico Cashback Rewards. You hear me and Dave talking about it on the show every single week. The more you bet, the more you earn, the more you win with Tipico Cashback Rewards. No bonus bet BS. This is actual cashback into your account. So download Tipico now. Use that promo code BPBets100 and get in on the action with us. All right, Ryan, we start things off. I'm excited to have the women's Final Four in Cleveland, but the first game I feel like nobody's really looking forward to. It gets completely overshadowed by the main event, if you will, later this evening. But we'll start things off with NC State plus 11.5 against South Carolina. NC State big underdogs on the women's side and the men's side.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if NC State's woman team had a DJ Burns there hanging down low, we'd be a little more interested. But, I mean, South Carolina's the class of the women's. I mean, they're undefeated again. Dawn Staley now 3 times in a row, Nick, the coach of the year for women's. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, you go look at the team, though. I'm seeing here different leading scorer in each of their 4 tourney games this year. Easily the deepest roster in college basketball. I think this is going to be a blowout, even though it's a Final Four game, and obviously we know this isn't the one everybody's looking forward to.
Yeah, same here. I'm going South Carolina minus 11.5. Dawn Staley is that good of a coach, and like you said, the testament to that is a different leading scorer in each of their 4 tournament games. It just goes to show the depth of South Carolina. Dawn Staley's a good coach, and I know she's going to want to be coaching in the final, so I got the Gamecocks there as well. Let's head to the main event.
Yes, sir.
Now, this is the one that everybody's looking forward to. The other game, kind of an undercard, if you will. UConn versus Iowa. This line has moved all over. It opened at 2.5, popped up to 3.5. You could probably get it there still on an alt line. I don't know who I like here, man, because Caitlin Clark, I bet against Caitlin Clark in that LSU game. I bet LSU money line. LSU was the underdog in that game. So I took plus money bet on LSU, and Caitlin Clark just put that to shame. 41-point performance in that game. She looked like she knew what was at stake. She's given Cleveland rave reviews all week long. A lot of Caitlin Clark Cleveland hype, so she was looking forward to this Final Four. And I don't know that I could fade her again, but UConn is really good as well, especially on the women's side.
Here's the thing, Nick. I understand. I think Iowa winning this game is the best thing that could happen for Cleveland, no doubt. Everybody's going to be watching that game. We want Caitlin Clark in the finals, probably cutting down those nets. I don't know, Nick. Am I crazy to sit here and say I don't know if I'm ready to crown Caitlin Clark as truly the best player in women's college right now? Paige Beckers, I know she got injured. She's coming back. She's playing outstanding, and she's playing just as well as Caitlin Clark is right now. I might take UConn. I don't know to win. I kind of like the 2.5. Maybe make it a free throw game. Caitlin Clark ices it. I'm kind of down, though. I mean, Caitlin Clark, what she did to Haley Van Lith, I'm kind of upset at her about that. I wanted Haley Van Lith to come to Cleveland. I would have been barking everywhere. But I might be betting UConn. I might be betting UConn to cover this 2.5 spread.
That was Ryan that said that, not me. All right, you're on UConn plus 2.5. I think I got to just roll with Iowa. I'm going to roll with our big play boost that's out there. I got Iowa covering the spread, and I'll take the over in this one. I think this is going to be a classic showdown. It is awesome that Cleveland got the Final Four this year when people are really, I mean, women's college basketball right now is at the absolute height. These are the two biggest stars in the game with Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers. It's going to be awesome.
I mean, Nick, I'm way more interested in UConn, Iowa.
I might just take
versus
the over and pull for chaos, to be completely honest.
I got to, and I think this is a common sentiment. I'm way more interested in this Iowa UConn game than I am for on the men's side than I am for UConn, North Carolina State, and Purdue. Purdue, NC State, UConn, and Alabama, because I think that's going to be a blowout, and then I don't want to watch Zach Edey play basketball anymore, to be honest. Just like I know you feel the same way. So I'm really interested in this game, man.
All right, well, we'll get into that. Ryan's on UConn covering this spread, and I'm going to just go. I'll go with the big play boost. I'm not fading Caitlin Clark again. I learned my lesson. I'm going with Iowa.
Did you know, Nick, I learned this. I read an article, I believe it was Dan Lobby. Kevin Stefanski's, like his dad Ed played basketball with Gino Auriemma, and they were neighbors.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's crazy. I never knew that. Small world.
All right, let's head on to the men's side of this. Obviously, men's Final Four kicks off on Saturday. Tips off, I think is the word that I'm looking for. Tips off on Saturday. NC State plus 9.5 dogs against Purdue. I said it on Big Play Cleveland. I'll say it again. NC State has been the only thing keeping my bank account and my Tipico sportsbook balance alive throughout this entire tournament. Tipico has dominated me this entire tournament, but I keep getting them back on NC State and NC State money line. They're dogs every single game, and I keep betting them because of the big boy, DJ Burns, who's coming off a 29-point performance against the Duke Blue Devils. So you will not find me fading that man again. I'm going NC State money line to end the evil empire of Purdue. I want to see the Cinderella story continue. I don't know that it can
as much.
It is really truly just I got to give them that support that they've given me and my bank account and my wallet throughout this entire journey. But I'm going NC State, man. I can't
as much as I would love for that to happen, Nick. I got to fade Padone on the money line. I'll listen to plus 9.5. I just think Zach Edey's too big, too strong. I mean, maybe if there's a guy that's going to be able to guard him, it's DJ Burns. But the only really way I see them coming out on top is if they get Zach Edey into foul trouble. But I got a feeling nobody really wants NC State in the finals. They want Purdue. They want Zach Edey. Not us, but the game, the NCAA, the officials. They're not going to be calling it on Zach Edey. If anything, they're going to be calling it on DJ Burns.
Probably.
So I got a feeling that that's going to be too much. Purdue's got way too much outside shooting to overcome. As much as you, Nick, I would love to see DJ Burns in the finals. He's been the story. We talked about a couple times about these March Madness Cinderella, not only teams but players. You got the Jimmer Fredets, obviously. We all know how that went down. I mean, DJ Burns in a year, we're going to be talking about how magical this run was and how fun he was in March Madness. And I mean, now they're talking about him maybe playing football. I don't know about all that. 6'9", man, stick to basketball. I think he can make it in the NBA. Maybe not be an amazing player, but he's got the footwork. What I saw him do against Duke was incredible. His little drop step. I mean, he looked like a Shaq Jr.
That's what's giving me optimism. That's what's keeping me alive and my optimism alive is that if there's one man in this tournament that remains that could stop Edey, it's Burns.
So even though Purdue's in the Big Ten, you still don't want to see him succeed. You don't want to get that Big Ten title drought out of the way.
I don't care. I mean, maybe if it was any other team, like Purdue is so lame. I mean, like obviously not Michigan either, but like. I don't just this Purdue team in particular is just so annoying. I don't like the brand of basketball Zach Edey plays. I think it sends the wrong message to kids watching the game. That's my same gripe with Joel Embiid. That's not how the game of basketball is supposed to be played, to just be a foul merchant and a free throw merchant and just foul bait left and right. And James Harden really started that. Embiid kind of took the torch from there. And now we're seeing it in the college game with Edey. I don't really care about the Big Ten drought. I would rather see either UConn, Bama, or NC State win the whole thing.
I would agree with that. Like I like UConn. I picked them last year to win it all. Actually, of course, I picked Creighton this year. That didn't work out for me. But I mean, what Dan Hurley's doing is so impressive. I mean, they'll be the first back. I think they're going to win it all again. They'll be the first back-to-back since 06-07. Florida did it with Joakim Noah and Al Horford.
Wow.
Everybody loves Joakim Noah here, right? But I mean, if we're going on to bet to the next game, UConn, Alabama.
Yeah, let's look at that. So
I just don't see how Alabama even stands a chance in this game.
Let me set this up. UConn, 11.5-point favorites in this against Alabama. Alabama scored at least 89 points in 3 of their 4 tournament games. And they allow a lot of points, too. They've allowed at least 82 in 3 of the 4. So I like the over 160.5 here. I think a lot of points are going to get scored in this one. But UConn is just a different animal. I keep kicking myself probably every single day. UConn to win the tournament at the start of the tournament was only like plus 375, and I was so tempted to do it, but I'm like, man, plus 375, like that's not the greatest odds ever on a future
March Madness pick.
But I should have just done it. I would have felt so much better now had I done it, because that would have just made too much sense. And that's why I talked myself out of it. I got UConn rolling in this, covering that 11.5. I know it's a Final Four game, and I also really, really like that over 160.5 too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely the one I like is UConn minus that 11.5. Nick, I mean, their closest game this tourney, 17 points Northwestern. I mean, you talk about dominance. They've been hands down the best team in this tournament, and it hasn't even been close. 10 straight tournament games, they've won by at least 13 points. They play the best brand of basketball. They can play it all. They'll play you in the front court. They'll play you down low. They'll slow it down. They'll speed it up. Donovan Clingan is an absolute animal. He'll be a first round, probably top 10 pick. They've got it all. So I'm going UConn to cover that 11.5. And I do like the over. The only way I could see it maybe not happening is if UConn really steps up on defense and you know, kind of gets out to that early lead, and then they're just focused on, you know, stopping Alabama, slowing the ball down. But I'll probably I would say I like the over and UConn to cover this one.
All right, let's do a big play boost for Saturday for the Final Four. We could be conservative because I get people aren't going to want to go as crazy as I'm going to go and do NC State money line. Should we do NC State to cover the 9.5 and then go the opposite? Go UConn to cover the 11.5. So pick one dog, one favorite for tomorrow.
I really like that a lot. I think North Carolina State can hang around. Like I said, I don't know if they'll have the firepower to get it done against Purdue, but I like them to cover, and then I love that UConn minus an 11.5 there.
All right, perfect. Let's move on, do some NBA, and then we'll get you guys some MLB Guardians opening day predictions for the Guards on Monday, Eclipse Day. It's going to be a busy day in Cleveland, so we'll get some stuff out of that too. Let's start Saturday. Cavs-Lakers. The Lakers won this last matchup against the Cavs. That was back in November. My biggest question for these two games, we'll get you the Clippers next. How healthy is Donovan Mitchell going to be against the Los Angeles Lakers? Because if he could be 85%, 90% and start gaining health through these games for a playoff push, Cavs could be all right. However, if he's not healthy and if this knee injury is more serious than what we're led on to believe it is, Cavs are in for a little bit of trouble, not just in these two games in LA, but also when they get back home and look towards the playoffs. Now, I'm not in freak out mode like a lot of people and panic mode, just because I really think for a team like the Cavs that has a lot of really good players, and we've seen things work at their best, they only need like one more good game and really good performance before the playoffs. I really think they could flip a proverbial switch, if you will, come playoff time, because it's a group that had been to the playoffs together last year. So if you get a favorable round one matchup against a team like Indiana, against a team like Orlando that hasn't been there before in a 7-game series, I like the Cavs' chances. Even though they're not playing their best basketball right now, I think the Cavs could be okay in that scenario. However, if you get a team like Miami, that's bad. Like New York, who had your number last year, and we've seen recently, just in the last month, that the Knicks still have the Cavs number. That's where things get a little bit sketchy. It really seems like it's going to be Indiana or Orlando, I hope. So I'm not pressing the panic button on the Cavs quite yet. I don't really care that much about this game against the Lakers. The Cavs are 10-14 since the All-Star break. They've lost 6 of their last 9. I think Mitchell's going to play this one, But I can't take the Cavs right now. I can't.
But that's what everything comes down to, is Donovan Mitchell being 100% healthy. And that's where the discussions come back of, do we shut him down the rest of these regular season, make sure he's 100% healthy for the playoffs? Or do you need him to will you to a couple more victories here? You know, we go look at after this LA stretch. I mean, you have games against the Grizzlies and the Hornets that should be automatic W's in the column. But we dropped it to the Hornets. Now we can't even count on that without Donovan Mitchell. I'd like to think that was just a one-off and not a pattern, God willing, going into the playoffs. But I mean, it's so weird, Nick, because now we're in this era without LeBron, with Donovan Mitchell. When we had LeBron, we didn't care who we played in the first round. We knew we were automatically going to the Eastern Conference Finals without a doubt. Now we're sitting here gauging who we want to play in the first round, and it's now half and half. Half of the teams I look at and say I'm confident, and the reason I'm confident is because, like you mentioned, the Magic, they haven't been there before. The Pacers, they have questions. They don't play defense. But like, if you get matched up with a team like the Heat, who seem to have our number, everybody talks about the Miami flu, or the 76ers, who really shouldn't be in the seed they're at. They're just there because they were missing Joel Embiid. I mean, it really causes cause for concern. So, I mean, but to go to this Cavs-Lakers matchup, I mean, LeBron, I don't care what stage in his career is at. He's amazing, and I know he gets up for the Cavs. You can't tell me different. He gets up to play these Cavs. If Donovan Mitchell doesn't play, I mean, we're automatically cooked. Lakers won 8 of their last 9 because they were fighting to miss getting in that play-in, and now I think they're even going to maybe get the 8-7 seed here. They're playing really good basketball, led by LeBron. I expect this to be a tough one in LA. I got to go with the Lakers.
Same. I'm going with the Lakers. I'll take LeBron's over in this too. I hate to do it, but got to do it. All right, let's quickly flip the page to Sunday. Cavs at Clippers. Cavs beat the Clippers back in January. If we know one thing and have learned one thing about these Cavs after the All-Star break, these back-to-backs are absolutely back-breakers for this team. The Cavs are horrible on the second night of back-to-backs. The Clippers are in a similar situation as the Cavs. They haven't been perfect since the All-Star break either. They're right at 500, 11-11. But they still have Paul George. They still have Kawhi Leonard. Again, this is not going to be an easy game for the Cavs.
No, not at all. I mean, the Clippers for the first half of the season were arguably the hottest team in the league. We know we got that win back a couple months ago, and the Clippers were playing hard that game. They wanted that game as much as we did, and we managed to get it at the end. But the Clippers, I got to imagine they're going to remember that, and they're fighting in the West. That is an absolute gauntlet. Thank God the Cavs are in the East, because if not, it would be ugly. I mean, Kawhi Leonard is going to be the best player on the court that game. Paul George is probably going to be the second. I'm assuming Donovan doesn't play. This is if he doesn't. But even if now, Donovan's not 100% healthy, so it still probably goes to Paul George. It's so tough, Nick, because I don't want to say we're going to lose back-to-back to both LA teams, but the way the schedule is working out, it feels that way, and I am not very optimistic about the Cavs right now. I honestly do think, though, if we're going to pick up one, it might be against the Clippers, even though that's the second one on the back-to-backs, and we know how the Cavs have been this year. I just can't see the Cavs beating LeBron, so I'm going to go ahead and be a little bit optimistic here and say the Cavs, if they do win, this is going to be the one that they do.
A lot of pressure on the Cavs this weekend, and obviously as they push towards that final homestand. As we get closer to the NBA playoffs, we'll have a full show for NBA playoffs when that time comes. For now, we have some games on Sunday with implications towards the playoffs. Heat at Pacers. Miami and Indiana have split this series 1-1 so far this season. The Heat are just a half game back of the Pacers for that 6th seed, and this could determine who the Cavs could play in the first round of the NBA playoffs. A lot of Cavs implications here on Sunday. I'm going to go ahead and I'll take the Heat in this game. I think Spo, this time of year, when you get the calendar flips to April, it's just a different animal. So I'm going to go with Miami Heat.
Yeah, Nick, I'm going with the Miami Heat, too. I mean, it's like you said, Eric Spoelstra, who I think is the best coach in the NBA. Indiana doesn't play a lick of defense.
Would love to avoid the Heat.
Tyrese Halliburton's kind of turned into a fraud the second half of the season. I mean, Pascal Siakam's good, but I don't think he's good enough. I mean, I forget who said the quote, but they said Jimmy Butler, during the regular season, he's off doing side quests. Now he's sitting here about to get to the playoffs. He's locked in. We saw what they did last year. Went to the NBA Finals. You can never count out the Heat. And God willing, I want to avoid the Heat in the first round. So I think Miami's going to go ahead and take this one as well.
All right, we both have the Heat. Let's go Knicks at Bucks. The Bucks are 3-4 in this matchup. New York has lost 3 straight, and they're going to be without Julius Randle, which is big news for the Cavs. Whether that be a first-round matchup, second-round matchup, who knows what. Big news in the Eastern Conference that Julius Randle is not available. Bucks have also lost 4 of their last 5. These are 2 teams where the stock arrow is pointing down. I'll take Milwaukee here only because it's usually difficult when you get that sort of big news that a all-star caliber player in Randle is going to be missing for the rest of the way. I got the Bucks in this.
This one's tough for me. I mean, I understand. I'm like, honestly, conspiracy theory. I don't know what the Bucks are doing. They just dropped 2 horrible games in a row to the Grizzlies and Wizards. I don't know if they're playing the seeding game, trying to maybe avoid the 76ers in that first round, but I'm not sure what they've been doing, but I got to imagine they can beat the Knicks. I mean, the Knicks, obviously, you mentioned Julius Randle out for the rest of the year with that surgery. Stephen A. Smith was about to damn near cry. And because he realizes that the Knicks really don't have a chance now. I mean, Jalen Brunson can only do so much. Lost to the Kings the other night. So I'm going Milwaukee as well, although they haven't given me much faith. But I got to imagine there's no way that they play this bad going in the playoffs when you have Giannis and Dame Lillard.
All right, we will wrap that up. Flip on over to MLB opening day Eclipse edition. It'll be Shane Bieber on the bump. Shane has looked awesome in his first 2 starts for the Gardos this year. He's 2-0, 0 ERA. We're going to build a same-game parlay here with Bieber going 2-0 against his strikeout total as well. Hit the over both times. I think we try to make that 3-0 here. I got Bieber over strikeouts, and I'm going to go with the Guardians win. White Sox are horrible. Let's go Guardians win. Shane Bieber over Ks. Ryan, give me a player that's getting a hit in this game.
All right, well, if I'm giving you a player to get hit, I got to go with Steven Kwan. He's been on absolute fire. Had a 3-hit game against the Twins on their home opener the other night. I mean, he leads the American League right now in hits. I think only second in the entire league behind Mookie Betts, who's having an MVP campaign, by the way. He's been insane. So I'm going to go with Steven Kwan, but you mentioned Shane Bieber, man. I mean, he's back to that Cy Young form. These first 2 games, he's had the perfect start to maybe go get another one, and I'm going to be like every Guardians fan that there ever is and will be, and just absolutely be beside myself if we get rid of him on this trade deadline, because this division is so winnable. The White Sox can't even remember to send out a first base coach. The Tigers are off to a good start, but I got to imagine that'll implode at some point. The Royals were a 50-win team last year. They'd have to have an amazing bounce back, and the Twins are facing injuries, and we just saw we beat them with their best pitcher, Pablo Lopez.
Yep. I'm completely with that. Let's go Guardians money line, Shane over strikeouts, and we'll go with the Quanimal to get a hit in the Guardians home opener on the Eclipse Day. Ryan, that is a show. Big play, big bets. Lock in all these picks with us, guys, on Tipico Sportsbook. It is so fun. The app has improved so much. Now that you're getting actual cash back for these bets, download Tipico, use promo code BPBets100. Get that $100 of bets on us to get you started. Final Four is here. Bet on the women, bet on the men. Use that $100 to build the bankroll and then start getting some cash back. With Tipico cashback rewards, you're getting actual money back in your account for every single bet parlay that you put in. Download Tipico and find out what we're talking about. We'll see you guys on the show next week. See ya!